Shawna Ross is the lab manager at Brownfields in Meridian, Idaho. Meridian is a suburb or a community located just adjacent to Boise, Idaho. And Shawna is a 2017 Spokane Falls Community College graduate. And she worked there for a year after she got the job and then became lab manager. And she has continued to manage that position and is now searching for some qualified technicians. So we want her to tell you about Brownsfields and Boise's and what a great opportunity this would be.
Yeah, so hello everyone and welcome. It's an honor to be here and get to show you my lab facility. Right now I am the only technician. We were at 3 techs and went down to 2 and then fastly down to just 1. So yeah, I am looking for a technician. I am doing interviews right now, so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, like Ruthie said, SFCC graduate 2017, and I came down here. Another student came down here as well for a working interview, and I got the position, which was fantastic. I was also the first female tech down here, and then being promoted to lab manager shortly after I was hired on was also a huge honor. So I've really taken that position and really made it into something great here. So I will show you guys, in Brownfield, this company started in 1949. So it's a family-owned company. There's 2 owners now, Barry Jones and Tom Padilla. They're shared owners, and it's Barry's family's business that's been passed down. So I will show you guys kind of my lab facility here. Let me switch. There it is. So this is a really big lab. This building was built in 2009, and it's very open, have lots and lots of windows, just kind of an overview, and I'll walk you guys through it to show you our setup that we have. So starting, this is our back entry door here. And right next to it, we have our shipping and receiving, which we have a guy who mans that. One of the things that we did here for this building is we wanted to do lean practices. So I don't know if anybody has heard of lean or the 5 S's, but just trying to make everything very practical. That way you don't have to, walk across the lab just to get to something else if you're working on a project. But we have a couple of sewing machines. We have one with black and white thread, so we don't have to switch it every time. Got our patcher, just kind of panning. So this is the lab tech portion. So the technicians work. We have 2 different workbenches here with our own set of tools on each side. So this is my workbench here. So I have some storage and all the tools that I need to do my work. Right behind my bench, we have one of our awesome gluing stations. So these tables are vent tables that have a filter underneath of this plastic. And it has these holes that suck the glue fumes and acetone and thinner fumes to help keep you from, breathing the fumes. So we have a couple of these around the lab, but we have all of our straps, that material, all centrally located, and we have pre-made straps that we have a local gal make for us, so I don't have to spend time making them. And then panning. This is our lamination station. We have 2 lamination stations, and behind on the wall, more ventilation. So these do a really great job at sucking in all of the fumes, especially I use ER resin mostly. And you can just see the fumes coming and going towards the vent. So it's very neutralized air here in the lab. There's also another vent table here. When you're mixing your resin, you turn this on and all of the fumes also go down. This is all of our lamination materials and such. Don't use carbon anymore. Hardly ever do I use carbon. I've switched over to the NSP Synthex to try and get healthier, also relieve the itch factor of carbon. I'm sure you guys have all worked with it. Back here in the corner we have 4 VFJs or Milmos, whatever you guys want to call them. Oftentimes we'll have to double up and capture a whole bunch of alignments, but we have a paper system to keep track of everything. And our component wall, I just redid this as part of one of my lean projects, reorganizing. Everything has its own peg, and kind of, locks are all in one spot, valves are all in one spot. So really making it easy for technicians and also practitioners to find what they're looking for. And I also this was another lean project, all of our used components for test sockets. And I actually just went through this, and I'm donating a bunch of components to Spokane Falls. So that's exciting.
It is for us, sure.
Yeah. This right here, so this is our plaster working area. As you can see, we have vents on the floor, and that's going to catch the majority of the dust to help keep the dust from tracking through the lab into our hallways here. We also encourage practitioners to use a garbage can. As a technician, I don't do any plaster modifications, and that's very rare, as you guys will find out as you get out in the field and see other labs and kind of see what they do. So yeah, so this is our cool plaster station.
So Shawna,
Right next to it. Yes.
Where does the dust go that goes down into there? Is it just formatted out into the air?
Nope. So there's a pan underneath. And so I have to take these grates up maybe twice a year, and I sweep all of this dust. So yeah, just kind of dust in there.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it definitely does help keep most of the dust out from the rest of the lab and the hallways, the carpets. But and then next to this plaster area, we have our plaster sink, our mixing station that helps to keep all of the plaster mess contained. And then I'll kind of pan, kind of a workbench, and we have our sandbox, plaster models that need to be modified. Here's Ray, our shipping guy. This is the other technician workbench that has their own set of tools and more storage area. So right now, I just kind of clean this out. And then once I hire a technician, we'll figure out what they need to be successful here. And we also have a sandblaster, but we don't use it that often. And of course, our big yellow hazard cabinet. And then kind of centralized, we have our speedy rivet presses. And these are all things that are modified, whether or not I have authorization to make them, or plastic that's cooling down. I kind of set them on this rack. It's our technician to-do rack. Here in the middle of the lab, we have our oven, which is new. We just got it this last summer. So it's way, way better and more efficient than our old oven that was from 1993. So very much an improvement. But we have 2 plastic stations for pulling, a blister forming station, and then we have another third one here that I use for body jackets, scullies, that kind of thing. Okay. But as you can see, we are pretty well organized here in the lab. So all of my plastic is over here in this station, and I actually color coded it to help people find, technicians find, the plastic easier as far as thicknesses go. And then over here, so I was standing over here to begin with, but I have this other space that has more plastic for blister forming, and I have an area for scrap as well. That's another place that I keep plastic. And one of my old technicians built this. These are all of our transfer papers. And this is something that we provide for free for patients to help them make it more exciting, especially the kids, pediatrics. So I just went through and I revamped, donated a bunch to the school that we just weren't using anymore, just to kind of lean that up as well. And then this is all of my padding material. So I have puff, P-Light, P-Cell. I have stuff for foot orthotics. This I just revamped the other day, cleaned it up, reorganized it. So, and I think that just makes finding your materials a lot better. It looks less chaotic, easier for practitioners, CPOs, put labels on everything. Otherwise, they'll keep asking me, hey, what's this? What's this? So there's that. And off of the main lab, we have our grinding room. So we have a separate machine room, grinding room. One of the things I did as well was I created this lean board for all of our practitioners so they have their own safety glasses and ear protection. So if it's missing, they know that it's theirs that's missing. So this is our machine room. It's pretty decent size. We have 7 CPOs here. So there's lots of us kind of coming in and out of this room. So we have a bandsaw. And this room also has its own ventilation system to help reduce the dust going out into the main lab as well. So we just have our bandsaw. We have a vise in here to cut AFOs off with some tools. And we have 2 satins with a numb keg. So our other one that has a fine sander on it for metal. We have 1 drum sander. And then we have 2 Troutmans. Trying to keep these organized with practitioners is always fun, but we have 2 of those. And then we have a panel saw, which most places also do not have a panel saw. So I'm really lucky to be here with it because it helps to cut down big pieces of plastic. And then this is another saw. It's kind of a slow cutting band saw for harder materials. And then the last room back here in the lab. So from the main lab, you saw all the technician area. Through this little opening, we have the practitioner area. So they have their own set of tools, their own 2 workbenches, their own gluing station. So that way they're not constantly coming and taking technicians' tools. Every once in a while they do, but they're pretty good about returning them back, or I will come and hunt them down. So this is Enoch, one of our CPOs. So yeah, so they just revamped this whole tool area and put a picture to help make it lean and clean. So they know if something is missing, they can go find it and put it back in the correct spot. And on the other side here, they have the same layout of tools. And they have casting things down here. It's kind of their immediate tools that they need. Over here in the corner, this is our podorthist area. We just recently closed down our shoe department. So we're not using it as much. You're good. We're not using it as much as we used to, but it was really nice to have everything in one centralized point. So we have their own little oven, our vacuum bladder table. This whole table is a vent table, so you can glue, suck all the fumes out. Have some miscellaneous shoe tools. We have an AmFit scanner, which is a foot orthotic carver. It uses these blanks here. The practitioner will take a scan of the patient's foot or plaster model and then upload that digital file. And this we'll carve it out. And it's pretty efficient. So it's a very, very old machine, but it still works really good. let's see. And then over here, this is the practitioner's wall of prosthetic socks, AFO socks, TLSO shirts, and I think, and Ponseti shoes. So this is also organized by size, and we have par levels as far as inventory goes, so we're not overstocking items. And then we have, I think this is just a 3-in-1 machine that comes in handy, but we have a door to go out to our main facility. And then the practitioners have their own computer area to quietly work and do all their notes. We have aprons hanging up for everybody. And then around the corner here is my computer desk and the practitioner shelves. So they each have their own shelf that's labeled, that they have all of their projects that they're currently working on, or parts for patients. So there's that. Oh, and I can't take credit. The old lab manager did this, but beautiful, beautiful organized drawers.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Everyone's really envious of the drawers. So everything has its own home and its own place. It makes it very easy to know what's missing, where I can go find it. I mean, it's beautiful. So I have
incredible.
to show
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's my lab here.
That's great, Shawna. I know we didn't prepare you for this, but tell us, what do you look for in terms of skills when you're interviewing for a technician? What are you wanting to hear from this technician in terms of their skills and talents?
Yeah, so I really look for someone who can work independently without having to have me babysit them, basically. Being able to multitask and also stay on task, especially in a lab like ours where we have 7 practitioners coming in and out of the lab all the time, or they're back here modifying. You know, if you can stay on task, keep working, multitasking, and being reliable, not being sick all the time, not calling out sick all the time. That's probably the biggest thing for me. And one thing here at Brownfields, as technical skills can be learned, but it's personality. As far as Brownfields go, we like to find people who will fit into our family, our community here at work, and then we can teach technical skills.
So what characteristics then are you looking at in terms of the person? Somebody that's outgoing, enthusiastic, positive? What do you think about when you're interviewing?
I mean, really anyone who, man, I mean, I'm going through this process right now, and we had hired somebody who we thought would be a good fit, and it wasn't a good fit after a month. And so it's hard because people can interview and say all the right things. And really, it's someone who's open and willing to learn, willing to take constructive criticism and learn from their mistakes, being humble, not somebody who is hot-headed or, you know, I know everything. We don't want that attitude at all.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Meridian and Boise.
Yeah, so I have been here. So I moved down here straight from school, from Spokane, and I absolutely fell in love with the area. Everyone's really, really nice here, and it's growing very fast. But it is kind of a suburb area. There's lots of trees and greenery, lots and lots of outdoor things to do here, and ways to be a part of your community.
And when you say there are a lot of things, what outdoor things are there to do?
Well, we're right by a ski and snowboard place, or mountain. There's lakes around, tons and endless amounts of hiking trails.
Isn't there a river? Doesn't there a river by Boise?
Yep. Yeah, so there's the Boise River, and there's a green belt that you can walk on. So yeah, everyone's walking the green belt, running the green belt right by the river. Tons of things to do downtown as well. There's a lot of little cute shops and breweries, and they do a market during the summer and fall. So like a farmer's market type deal.
Uh-huh.
So
Great,
yeah.
great. So I'm wondering if any of the students from any of the schools have questions. Always a challenging part of this.
I know. I will say as a student, especially getting ready to graduate, it's probably going to be hard finding a place because COVID hit a lot of facilities really hard. I mean, I know it slowed us down and we had to close one of our facilities for a couple weeks because of it. So just finding a place, going there, meeting the people, doing a working interview, I think will give you a really good outlook on what it's going to be like working there, but also, you know, finding your clinical where they can hire you on after is a really, really big deal.
Okay, can you see that chat thing, Shawna?
Yep. It went away.
They're curious about the turnover. A student from JCC Joliet Junior College is curious about the turnover. If you're able to speak on that turnover ratio of techs, I assume he means.
Yeah, so I can only speak for the techs I have been involved with here while I've been working here. But the lead tech was here for about 13 years. And he was just kind of a long tech, and he had a lot of interpersonal issues going on and decided to move on to a different facility. My senior tech that just left a few months ago, he was here for 15 years. So, I mean, a lot of technicians stay long term. I did hire a student on he wasn't in my class, he was just below me at the college. And he was here for about a year and a half. And I think also he had a lot of personal things going on in his life and decided he needed a change and moved on. But I know I'm here to stay. I bought my second home down here and I'm not moving. And
You're there to stay. Okay,
I'm
here's
here.
another question.
Yeah.
What are the benefits that are provided? Give us a sense of possible starting salary with just out of school, starting salary with 2 or 3 years experience, and then what benefits?
So I know as far as salary goes, I know in our Indeed poster or our Indeed job, it's $18 an hour, but we're always looking at experience. I know when I was hired on, I got raises very, very quickly, especially when I became certified. And becoming certified, I know that that's really important here at Brownfields, but once I became certified, I got immediately a pay raise from it. But doing it also, I think as soon as possible when you get hired on shows a lot of initiative on your part that you're a go-getter and you're going to get things done. So that's, I would say, something if you guys are looking to get certified, you know, do it as soon as you can. But as far as experienced techs, I think we are looking at 22, 24 an hour. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been quite on the loop. I know what I make, but I'm a manager. So, and as far as benefits go, we have full benefits here at Brownfields. We have 401k that they put in 3% of your salary without you having to even put in anything. So I have that going. We have full dental and vision and health insurance, and the work Brownfields pays for half of my premium for my health insurance, which is nice.
Does that cover your family as well, or just you?
Yeah, it's me and my son on my insurance, and then my husband has his own thing.
And then what about life insurance, paid time off?
Yeah, so we have a $10,000 life insurance policy. And then time off, you start off with, think this through, 6 days. And then when you hit a year, you go up to 11 days. One of those days is a sick day. And then after you hit your 5-year mark, you go up to 21. Oh, wait. Yeah, 21 days. I'm about to hit that in September. So I'm going to get a big jump in my PTO. And then it goes up from there, but I'm not certain on the days. But
can you tell about your training of new technicians? How long does it take for most of them to feel acclimated to the position?
Yeah, so I think I've only had 2 people come in from school doing their clinicals here. It was their first clinical, so they had only been through half of the schooling. So they were still pretty green with their technical skill, but I think it really depends on the person. If you're a fast learner, if you have those hand skills. But I would say maybe a few months, I feel really 2 to 3 months, I would say I would feel good about letting a tech kind of be on their own, not having to hover as much or check in with them. But it's also learning the facility's way of doing things. So our kind of standard practice as well.
Okay. Another question is, what's the cost of living in Boise, Meridian? And Nampa? Nampa's around there too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not too
and
far?
I actually live in a different suburb called Cuna, which is
Okay.
it's cheaper than Meridian.
I know the housing rate has gone out of sight in Boise.
I know it's going crazy. So it was definitely a seller's market because we sold our first home for a good chunk of change and bought our second home. I should have looked that up. I actually don't know what it is. I know I heard apartments were going for like $1,200 for like a 2-bedroom. Can't quote me
Okay.
on that, but that's what somebody had told me. So
Okay.
it's definitely going up, but
Another question is, as a technician, do technicians see patients?
so no, here, no. As a manager, I will on occasion go and see a patient if I have to do a quick repair if that practitioner is not here at this office, because we have a remote office in Nampa, a different city. And so I have on occasion seen patients, or if I want to go in on a delivery of a special project that I worked on, I'm more than welcome to go and do that. But no, we do not see patients.
Going back to the cost of living, Meridian
Mhm.
is less expensive than Boise. And then the area where you are is less expensive than Meridian, right?
Yeah, so the further out you go, the less expensive
So
it is.
Nampa would be less expensive as well, right?
Yeah, I would say Nampa's less expensive than Meridian. And
Yeah.
Meridian is really like an up and growing family community. And so it's kind of a hot market because it's the city right next to Boise, which is our capital here. And that's where the big city is. Big. It's a small city, but yeah. So the further out you go, the cheaper it's going to be. The more land you can find type situation.
Another question, how do your technicians work alongside the practitioners?
Yeah, so we have work orders that the practitioners will fill out to let us know, all the details of the project. And then if we have questions, we go and we talk with the practitioner, or the technician will ask me and I will verify that information with the practitioner. But practitioners are back here in the lab, and if they need help with technical stuff, sewing, whatnot, then they'll have us help them for walk-ins. So pretty close, I would say. There's a lot of, I think, really great communication here between the technical staff and the practitioners.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
Yes, ma'am, we have a question here. We're at St. Petersburg College. Tim?
Tell us.
So, as you're looking to hire, and a lot of us either have experience or are coming out of a training program, what are you looking for specifically? Because a lot of us already have like technical hand skills. What are you looking beyond just normal technical hand skills? What would make us more hireable than just someone else that you've interviewed or met?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So just somebody who is open to learning, open to also giving their input on things, right? So I've been here for 4.5 years. And there are things when I hire on people, they say, hey, why do you do it this way? And that's something that I really value as a manager. And I'm sure my employer also likes it. But someone who is willing to give their own input, but be willing to learn and be open to all sorts of skills and different ways of doing things, because everyone does everything different, but you get your outcome that you're looking for. That's probably one of the biggest things.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Here's another question, Shawna. What hours do you typically work, and what hours is the technician hours for the manager and the technicians? What hours are they working?
Yeah, so I am salary employee, but I work the same hours as the technicians. We here at Brownfield, the technicians are here from 8 a.m. to 4:30 with a half-hour lunch. Practitioner staff and front-end staff, they're here from 8:30 to 5. So we get here a little bit sooner, which is nice because there's nobody back here bugging us. But here at Brownfields, we hardly ever have to work overtime. Really, it's like end of year push for insurance, getting projects out the door for November, December. That's when we mainly have to work overtime. We do on call for practitioners on the weekends for the hospitals here. And I think I've only been called in one time to make an AFO, which was really rare since I've worked here. So it's very much when you're here working, you're working, and Brownfields as a company, they want you to enjoy your life outside of work, enjoy your family, enjoy the area.
Great. Here's another question. Are there any devices that educators should direct learning objectives? Oops, where'd that go? Just a minute. There was another part of it. Just a second.
Yeah.
Where did that question go? Are there any devices that educators should direct learning objectives? For example, using a BOA Click Medical Adjustable Socket or FabTech PDE AFO, what would be helpful?
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of those PDE struts, and I had to learn it on my own. And I actually, the first one I made here, they didn't have the correct, I was making out of a different material, so I kind of had to come up with my own way of making it. But I am seeing those more and more. And as far as BOA goes, that's something I never learned when I went to school. And it's definitely here and people are using it. I have repaired many, many BOAs and restrung them. And I made my first socket and I made it too thick. So I think that would be a really valuable thing to learn in school, to have that place to make mistakes that aren't, for a
Costly.
patient, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, I'm not sure after like Ambrose came on, what he changed about prosthetics, but I know I learned a lot of really old school ways of doing things. But I think I can only speak for SFCC, but I think Ambrose has brought in new technical ways of doing things.
He has.
Certainly trying to implement some newer techniques and some newer devices.
Yeah.
It's a slow process, I find.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's really good. I feel like everything I learned in school, it was exactly what was tested for the certification exams. So it was very valuable to know that kind of thing. And I still reference my textbooks sometimes. I have them all here. And I still go by what I learned in school. So, but yeah, I think a little bit newer techniques would be good. I'm trying to think of other devices. I feel like the ones that we did in school while I was there were very kind of straightforward. They were not weird shapes, if that makes sense. At least the molds that we had were very like a basic, very, very basic BK shape. So like
you see a lot of different things out in the real world.
Yeah, like alignment, it's crazy. Yeah, let's see. Trying to think. I don't have anything. I know I just made this kind of oddball below the knee prosthetic here. So this is a gal. She weighs like 300 and, oh, okay, her name's not on it. she weighs about 350 pounds. This is a right, and she has her foot inset, which is a bit different, and also her lock release is on the outside. And I had to create this ProComp thigh cuff that the joint is medial because there's not enough room in her wheelchair. And then we used a click magnetized buckle. So she'll be able to easily clamp this down. So just things like, I mean, or just even seeing examples of this kind of thing before you get out in the field, I think would be helpful. So while you're reaching out to all of these different businesses, maybe seeing if we can send pictures out, that might be helpful.
Good, that's good. Here's another question. Do you do any research at all? Do you dabble in any research? Do you, as far as finding new ways to fabricate devices that may be more efficient and or fabrication of specialty devices for tough cases?
I research materials. Part of my management here, we had a lot of different materials that just kind of sat around. And so one of my main things I've been focused on is finding materials that are more cost effective, but also give us the best result that we're looking for. So lighter, stronger materials for prosthetics, that kind of a thing. So, but not so much like design. I mean, I like looking at all of the O&P Edge magazines and Amplified to see, and I like reading that literature to see, you know, what is new, what's happening in the world. And also I found a really great resource on LinkedIn. If you guys are on LinkedIn, just start following all of these O&P technicians, CPOs, different companies, and they'll post some pretty cool newer things that are happening in the O&P world.
Here's some comments about that device that you showed. Wow, that's intense. Nice job. That's a very cool device, way to tackle some unique designs for problems.
Yeah, thank you.
Do
And
you
I
all
know
have a winter, do you have a winter break over the holiday is another question?
we don't, but the company, we're good about getting days off. So for like the big holidays, Christmas, we'll get like the day before, day after off. And there have been times when we've had good years that we'll close the office more. But since it's been COVID years, we've worked more. We haven't had that like extra day. So we definitely don't get a break here. We're always working, trying to make that profit, keep everything in the positive.
That's great. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? Here's another one. Do you, whoops, they're going faster than me. Do you, just a second. Are you implementing scanning or CAD at your practice? If so, what's the tech role other than AmFit?
Yeah, so we do have a scanner. I do not personally scan, but I've seen it done. The practitioners will scan. Mainly it is for below the knee sockets, and then we send them out to a place called Prosthetics Plus, which I think, yep. Oh, I'll show you guys the scanner real quick. So we have these little white buttons that the practitioner will put on the patient or on the model. And then this is one of the scanners that we use to scan the patient. And we have it all just set up right here with a laptop. So yeah, so that's really our only scanner. Other than AmFit, it's the cost of it is not justified for our facility. And the practitioners also use iPads with scanners to scan for foot orthotics, to send those out. But those are just pretty basic, kind of plug into the iPad. But yeah, we don't use any CAD here. And I think you're going to find that with a lot of mom and pop type places. But if you go to a central fabrication facility, they're more than likely going to have a scanner carver.
Another question, do you have specific amount of devices that each technician must fabricate per day? Are there a certain number of devices or each tech must
No.
fabricate per day?
Yeah, no, we don't have a certain number. I kind of just keep track and I make sure that projects are getting done in a timely manner. You know, if you're a newer tech, it's going to take you longer, obviously, than me to make something. But seeing the progress, seeing things get turned in, because I do all of the quality checking here. So when a project is done, it goes on my desk, I quality check it, and then I send it to schedule. So if I'm seeing, you know, things are a little slower, like I'm going to talk to the technician and see what's going on, if there's something I can do to help make their process faster, easier for them. But we don't have an allotted number or anything like that.
I want to go back to your comments about implementing some of the lean system methods that you put in. Did you find that that changed the amount of time it took to make a device or to do a project after you organized things like you did?
Yeah, so a lot of it was already here and organized and kind of put in place. I've been fine tuning it over the last 4 years while I've been here, and just definitely leaning up the clutter has been a really big part of it, and trying to also utilize those materials, not just throw them away or donate them, because we did spend money on them. But I think just decluttering and having a lean office, having your tools and everything where they need to be, I think has really made a big impact on the business. I can't say how they were running before, but I know like one of the things is having scissors at every station. So we have scissors that are tethered at all these different stations. So they're always going to remain here and not move. So that's like one of the things. This is in the practitioner area, but they're kind of known for taking and removing tools. But I think it just makes everything is visible. People know where everything is if they're looking for it. So I think it does create an up in productivity.
Great. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
I know I just thought of, oh gosh, now my mind's blank. It was going to be for the professors to implement. Let me think here. I might have forgotten it, but I will email if I remember.
That would be fine. If you send an email to me, I can get it out to everybody, to all the program directors, and they can
Okay.
tell. Do any of the program directors, do any of you have questions for Shawna? They've been directing a lot of these questions coming from the students as well.
No, these are great.
Shawna, we're proud of you out here at SFCC. Nice work.
Thank you.
We are very proud of you. And Brownsfields and Boise, it's such a great place to go. So anybody that's interested in a nifty town, I can tell you, I did a lot of work as a consultant in Boise, and it's one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, and I know, and I've had people come for their clinicals before. So if you guys are ever looking for a place for your clinical, I am open to having people here. So just reach out.
Yeah,
I know I emailed Ruthie my business card. So if you guys do come up with any other questions, feel free to reach out via email, and then I'll get back to you guys.
That'll be great. We'll send the card out, and we do have, I know we have some students that are thinking about Brownsfields for their practicum this summer. So you may get a few from Spokane Falls, and maybe some of those people down in St. Petersburg or Joliet as well, and Oklahoma City. So we thank you very much, Shawna. This was a great training and learning session. Great employer meet and greet. You're our first one. You're a real star.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I loved showing, one of the other things in my lab, which Barry just told me last night. So our lab here, real quick, was made to really help get all of those fumes out, right? Talking about all of those glue tables, but also on our plastic pulling, right? So the air, everything that gets sucked out, it all goes out and out of the building. So it's not stuck here in the lab. And that's one thing I think that you guys will see as you're going through and getting all of these different tours of lab facilities is you're going to see their ventilation system. Almost everyone who walks through here thinks, you know, they have this idea in their mind that they're going to smell glue, they're going to smell plastic and foam and arts. And also because our lab is so big, there's a very, very neutral air in here. So I would definitely be on the lookout for that as well when you're looking for places to get hired on at, is looking at that, because if you're going to be in this field for a long time, you're going to want to work in a healthy environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you all for being here. We're going to do another one of these in a couple of weeks, and we'll be sure and let you all know when it's scheduled.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Shawna.
Yeah, you're welcome.